session. First order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance, and Ken McFarland will lead us off.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A reminder to silence your cell phones if you've not done so at this point. Meeting documents are available for your review down by Commissioner Kelly on the edge of the bench. And contact Robert if you'd like to use a listening device. As per state statute, the county auditor has to open this first meeting, and the first order of business will be the selection of the commission chairperson for 2014. At this time, I'd like to call for nomination and a second for the nomination.
I'm going to nominate Cindy Heiberger for chairperson.
Second.
Very good. Call for a vote on the nomination. All those in favor? Well, let's do a roll call vote. Commissioner Barth?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Abstain?
Yes.
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 Motion passes. Cindy, you assume the gavel at this point.
Musical chairs. Did you want me to just stay there?
Actually, Gerald, you're going to have to assume...
Am I homeless?
Yeah, you're homeless. You're homeless.
You gotta move.
Safe home.
Pick up your tray and walk at your end of the line.
Gerald, we got a place up
notes.
on Minnesota Avenue. We can house you out.
Back to the safe home.
Okay. We're getting there. Okay, and welcome to our January meeting, our first meeting of the year. And we will start out with the next item on the agenda is a selection of the vice chairperson, open for nominations.
I'd like to make a motion that John Peckus be vice chair. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? With that, we will call for a vote, and we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Barth?
Aye.
Benega?
Yes.
Kelly?
Aye.
Peckus?
Abstain.
And Heiberger.
Yes. A motion of 4-1. John is the vice chair.
Item number 4 is the designation of official county newspapers. Ken McFarland.
Good morning, Commissioners. In accordance with SDCL 7-18-3, the County Commission must designate 3 legal newspapers in the county as its first regular meeting in January, and we are at that date this morning. Currently, the 3 legal newspapers are the Argus Leader, the Dell Rapids Tribune, and the Hartford Area News. As I indicated in my briefing material, the Argus Leader and the Dell Rapids Tribune are owned by Gannett Publishing, and the Hartford Area News is owned by Anderson Publications. We have received requests from both Anderson Publications and the Argus Leader that, and the requests are that the Hartford Area News still remain a legal newspaper of the county, and in exchange for that, they will also print at no charge our legals in the the Humboldt Journal and in the Garrettson Weekly. The Argus Leader has requested as well to be a legal newspaper along with the Dell Rapids Tribune. In addition, the Argus Leader has also offered that if you designate the Brandon Challenger as one of the legal newspapers, that they will do a combined rate with the Dell Rapids Tribune and the Brandon Challenger and be a little bit less as a discount for designating those 2 newspapers. For 2013, we have published for all legal publishing to date approximately $73,000. This is a little bit less than last year, which was $75,927. The rates for the newspapers, I'm happy to say, are not changing from last year. In fact, those rates have remained stable for the last several years in all of our legal newspapers. I do believe there is representatives, at least from the Argus Leader, began publishing. I don't see the representative from Anderson Publications, but again, the request that we've had is to continue the 3 legal newspapers with the possibility of looking at the Brandon Challenger as well. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer, and there is representatives here from the Argus.
Would the Argus leader like to say anything? If you'd identify yourself, please.
Yes, hi, Kelly Redfern. I'm the Advertising Marketing Director at Argus Leader Media. No, just to say Happy New Year, and I'm here to answer any questions. If you have any questions, I can kind of give you a sneak peek that there's going to be some big changes coming to the print edition of the Argus Leader starting on February 6th. We're adding a lot more pages to our daily product and sections as well. So we are reinvesting back into our print products as part of what we're doing in 2014. We're very excited about that. So it's going to be more robust. There's going to be a lot more engagement. And the goal there, of course, is to get more print subscribers along with our digital subscribers that we currently have.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions for Kelly or for Ken? Any discussion? Do we have a motion on the newspapers?
I'm going to make a motion to designate both the Argus Leader, the Del Rapids Tribune, and also the Hartford Area News to be our 3 official newspapers.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Item number 5 is to establish the record of non-elected department heads. Ken McFarland.
Commissioners, one of the just informational items that we do at the beginning of each year is to establish and publish the record in our minutes of who our non-elected department heads are as a point of information for the public as of the first of the year. And if you'd like, I'll go ahead and read them and that for the record. Ken McFarland, Commission Office. Monty Wadenbach, Information Technology. DJ Boothie, Highway. Todd Cheever, Juvenile Court Center. Lloyd Olson, Facilities. Bill Hoskins, Museum. Carrie Jo Deaver, Human Resources. Scott Anderson, Planning and Zoning and Parks. Cynthia Howard, Public Advocate. Tracy Smith, Public Defender. Carol Muller, Human Services. Kyle Helseth, Equalization. Linda Young, Emergency Management. In addition, we have some folks who serve in some vital capacities as well that are not, quote, county department heads, and those include Darren Ketchum with Metro Communications, Ralph Hammer with Weed and Pest, Patricia Krupa, who is the County Veteran Service Officer, and Charles Martinell, who is the 4-H Youth Advisor for the county. And so we would just ask for a motion to have these, this list published in our minutes for the information.
Motion to publish.
I have a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions of Ken? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ken.
Item number 6 is appointment of Minnehaha County Coroner. Ken McFarland.
Commissioners, as you know, due to our size, we have the ability to appoint our county coroner, and of course, for the last several years, you have chosen to do that. And in fact, our current coroner is Dr. Kenneth Snell, and I will remind you, you have also late last year, approved a contract for Dr. Snell to serve not only as coroner, but for medical examiner for the county. What we would like to do now is just simply to have a motion to appoint Dr. Snell as the county coroner from January 1, 2014 through December 31st, 2014, and this is simply to meet the intent of the statute that we do have an official appointment of him as coroner.
So do I have a motion to
Move
appoint?
to approve Dr. Snell as in 2014.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Dr. Snell for the Minnehaha County Coroner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 7 is determination of the 2014 salary for Minnehaha County Commission. Ken McFarland.
Commissioners, SDCL 7-7-5 requires the County Board of Commissioners to establish their salary for the year at the first regular meeting of each year. If you fail to do that, then the salary is set by state statute, and as you know, that particular statute has not been updated for several years, and that the salary would be much, much less than what you are earning right now. Your salary for 2013 was $26,000. And that the commission budget for 2014 includes a salary, again, of $26,000. And that's what was included in the budget that you adopted back in September. If you would like to increase your salary to be reflective of the same rate that was given to all the other county employees for 2014, which is a 1% general increase, this would set your salary at $26,260 if you so choose. So what I need you to do today is to set your salary for 2014, and you would have, the motion would have to read, move to elect salary rather than the per diem method of payment to county commissioners, and set the 2014 annual salary at your choice.
Are there any questions of Ken?
I also provided you in the memo a history of what your salary has been since at least 2010.
Discussion?
Move to set salaries at $27,000 for 2014.
I have motions to set it for $27,000 for 2014. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
I have a motion and a second for $27,000 for 2014. Discussion? Dick, I think you get to start out. You made the motion.
Well, that, as you know, obviously the 1% plus also we had the step increases. So I think just to keep this in line, and I guess I like even numbers, so it would be somewhere around 28, 27, 26, 8, 27, and to get us up, we're at about the same that all the other employees are doing.
Any other comments?
Ken, when we had Condrey and Associates 6 years ago come back and do an assessment, since we're in the process of going ahead and reevaluating salaries across the board for both the commission and all the other elected department heads, what was the amount that they actually determined to be the commission salary?
Back then, I believe it was right at 30.
$30,000, that was 6 years ago.
Correct.
You know, I think it's very important that when we look at the amount of compensation that we're actually awarding these positions, these are not individual positions. I would like to point out that we have an election coming up this next year, both for commission seats, and it's important that we compensate these positions adequately so we get the right individuals that are interested in these positions. When I ran 2 years ago with Dick Kelly, we didn't even have anybody run in the general election. You know, it's important that you actually value these positions for the job that they're doing, and if you substantially undervalue a position, you're not going to get the quality individuals. And I'm not taking away from my commissioners that are sitting at this bench. I think you do an excellent job. But I'm pointing out that we are always inundated with statements not only from our department heads, but from HR, as well as the applicants that are coming in and applying for jobs at Minnehaha County, that quite honestly our compensation is not up to par for the other regional as well as our local governmental entities that we're partnered with. So I think it's very important that we adequately establish that rate. So that's why I seconded the motion.
Are there any other comments?
I would like to amend the motion to the amount that was budgeted for 2014, which was $26,000 even.
I have a motion to amend the budget to $26,000, which is the budgeted amount. Is there a second? Would somebody second for me?
You can pass the gavel.
I will second that motion for amendment.
All right, so we have a motion and a second actually to amend it back to the $26,000 amount. And I'm going ahead and turn it back over to Commissioner Benega.
Thank you, John. The reason I feel fairly strongly about that is that we go through a budgeting process every year that's extremely painful. I think it's our responsibility to be leaders in that responsibility. And when we went through that budget, we decided as a group that 26 was the number that we would use in the budget. I don't believe anybody here has taken this position as a financial stimulus, if you will, to their current function, and I believe that we need to live within our budget, and that budget was $26,000.
Yes, Commissioner Heiberger.
I look at this position as more of a public service, and I don't think you can ever compensate for the amount of hours that we put in when we do this job. It's considered a part-time job, and I think most of us put in more than part-time hours trying to do our due diligence in serving the public, and so therefore I will support the amended but not the original motion.
Commissioner Barth.
Well, I think you're all wrong. The fact is that The Economist magazine, which is a conservative magazine, talking about raising the minimum wage, came out in favor of it. At the same time, they said, don't let politicians decide it. Let there be an index-type system to raise it. I think raising it by the 1% we raise the other employees, as opposed to going, 5 or 6 years and then doubling it or something, I think that's the way to go. And to keep it from becoming so distorted, you wind up with our state legislators at $6,000 a year or whatever. I don't believe that it's clear to the public that other commissions are getting similar compensation. Meade County gets paid $15,000. They get $10,000 health care, which we don't get. They get $150 a month for technology allowance, which we don't get. Woodbury County in Iowa, I think they make $33, and the chairperson makes $39. But I believe the Economist is right, and that incremental increases are the way to go, as opposed to sucking it in for so many years until it just blows up. So I'm going to vote against both.
Well, we do have, thank you, Commissioner Barth. We do have an amended motion, or was it a substitute motion? It was an amended motion. So we'll vote first on the amended motion. And I guess we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. So the amended vote is now the vote, and so we'll go ahead and once again we'll vote on that as well. It'll be a voice vote, so go ahead and call the roll, Cindy.
Barth?
No.
Heiberger? Benega?
Yes.
Kelly?
Aye.
Peckus?
Yes.
Heiberger?
Yes.
May I pass the gavel?
You may pass the gavel. That motion passes 4-1 for a budget, or a salary for County Commission at $26,000. We move on.
Item number 8 is to approve a resolution to set election workers' pay schedule. Bob Litz.
Morning again, Commissioners. Bob Litz from the Auditor's Office, and at the first meeting of every year, the Commission sets the rate of pay for election workers as pursuant to SDCL 12-15-11. For the years 2010, 2011, and 2012, that number remained static. Last year in 2013, it was updated to reflect the current pay rates. I'd like to retain those same rates for one more year. After this election cycle is over, assuming I'm still here, I'll do an updated study, and we'll compare what other counties are paying out and see if another update is needed. For the benefit of the public, I'd just like to read these pay rates. For a precinct superintendent, it's $130 a day. For a precinct deputy, it's $115 a day. For general election additional compensation for precinct superintendent and deputy, it's $5 additional per day. For a precinct, it's a partial day person, it would be $12 an hour. For absentee precinct, the counting center and the precinct assistants, that's $10 an hour. And for election school attendance, it's $15 an hour. And my election school does last about 1 hour. The action that I'm requesting today is that we set the rates as requested in the resolution.
Are there any questions of Bob concerning the election workers' salary? Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion.
Second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously to set the election workers' salary as last year's.
Thank you, Commission.
Thank you.
Now we're on to routine business. Item number 9 is to approve the County Commission minutes of December 31st,
Move approval.
2013.
I have a motion to approve the minutes
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item 10 are bills to be paid in the amount of $997,501.26.
Pay the bills.
Second the bills.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner?
I would just comment that today's bills include just under $600,000 in insurance of one kind or another, workers' comp, building insurance, et cetera.
Any other comments? We have a motion to approve bills for $997,501.26. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
There are no reports today. Item 12 is personnel. A is consider a motion to approve the routine personnel actions.
We have Jen this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jen Oddix from Human Resources.
First one is a motion to approve the routine actions.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item B is to recognize significant employee anniversaries for January 2014. Jenny Eddix.
Okay, we have quite a number of anniversaries this month. With 5 years of service, we have Kedra Ali. She's a custodian in our facilities department. Deanna Gustav, who is a caseworker in human services. Erin McGowan, who's, of course, our state's attorney. Amanda Eden, a senior deputy state's attorney. And then celebrating 10 years of service with the county, Kelly Nyhoff, who is a senior tax and license technician in the treasurer's office. Maria Gonzalez, who is a correctional officer at the jail. Janet Eden, a legal office assistant at the state's attorney's office. Mark Cady, who is a senior deputy public advocate in the public advocate's office. Patricia Hughes, who is a correction system operator in the jail. Carmen Casson and Ryan Mickelson, who are both juvenile correctional officers at JDC. Michelle Thomas, who is a senior deputy public defender at the public defender's office. And with 20 years of service, Gerald Lang. He's a building facilities maintenance technician with the facilities department.
I'd like to thank all those people for their many years of service, and I don't think anybody came today, did they? Sometimes we have some here. Thank you very much for your service.
The next item is to record volunteers in county departments for December 2013.
December was a great month for volunteers. We had over 200 volunteers that donated their time to a number of different departments within the county. Quite a few with the Siouxland Heritage Museums, the Sheriff's Office, of course Emergency Management, which has a large number of volunteers, and then also at the county jail.
And we'd like to, again, thank all the volunteers for all the work in the 2013 that they put in, and especially during the month of December when we're all busy with other things and don't necessarily think about volunteering for community service. Thank you.
Item D is consider a motion to approve a temporary salary increase for Lynn Krell, Assistant Director of the Juvenile Detention Center, of $3,308.42 biweekly to serve as the Interim Director of the Juvenile Detention Center effective January 23rd, 2014.
I think you've all been briefed on this issue. Todd has resigned his position effective January 22nd, so Lynn would be the interim director, and therefore we would consider this an increase in her pay for her increased duties starting on the 23rd. The amount is similar to what other department heads or assistant department heads have received when they have accepted interim duties as well. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
I'd move to approve the temporary salary increase for Lynn Krell.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jen.
There are no application for abatement today. Notices and request. Item A is a notice from the South Dakota Department of Transportation and the City of Sioux Falls of a public open house informational meeting for the I-229 Exit 5, 26th Street Crossroad Corridor Study at 5:30 p.m. Wednesday, January 15th, 2014 at John Harris Elementary School, 3501 East 49th Street, Sioux Falls. There are no planning and zoning notices, and there are no petition for compromise of lien. The next item is an opportunity for public comment.
This is the opportunity for the public to speak if they have an item that is not on the agenda. And we have Commissioner Barth coming down from the podium to be Jeff Barth.
Good morning, Madam Chair, fellow commissioners. Jeff Barth, Minnehaha County. I've often talked about the financial impact of alcohol abuse in our community, the criminal justice system, the tens of millions it costs us. And listen, taxpayers that are out there, it's going to cost millions more out of your property tax pretty soon. But today I want to take a minute and talk about the human cost. Last week, we had the death of a mother of 6 caused by an alcohol-related accident. This last summer, a young woman, Megan Spindler, was killed out in Pickstown. Her father came to town and I met her. This gorgeous young woman was hit by a drunk driver who went 200 feet off the highway across the parking lot, hit her and drug her another 120 feet, leaving her body so mutilated it could not be viewed at her funeral. Think about a parent losing a beautiful young daughter like this. Think about 6 children without a mother. I could have done more about this. I had all winter coming up to last week to do something more after Megan was killed. I didn't do it. Mother of 6, the beautiful child of Greg and Susan Spindler. More people are going to die. More people are going to die unless we do more about it. Okay, well, I've got some ideas that don't have to do with raising taxes. I have ideas on taxes too. I think we should immediately suspend every license of a person arrested for drunken driving. We need to impound and seize the vehicles of anyone driving under the influence. We need to have dram shop liability, social host liability. The victims should be able to sue the people who provided extra alcohol to those who are already intoxicated. Minnehaha County ought to be able to go after them and get our costs paid back. That doesn't raise taxes, but I think it would slow down the number of people being killed, and I think that maybe people wouldn't be getting overserved, and we would have a place to go to recover some of the costs. And what if drinkers had to have a license to drink? Why should someone with 5 drunken driving convictions be able to go into a bar and order a beer? You have to have a license to drive, or you're supposed to, a license to hunt, an ID to vote. Why are people that are demonstrably unable to handle drink able to walk into a bar and order a drink? They're going to kill people. Let's not let that happen. Make them get a license. DWI, they lose their license. Buy it for somebody else, lose that license. And I'm talking as a person that drinks plenty. I was just at a place the other night with my family, and we spent $800, and half of that was on a couple of bottles of wine. However, the 8 of us drove in a vehicle with a sober driver. She took care of us. We had a jolly time. The current practice, of course, is to socialize the costs of alcohol across everyone. I'm going to show a little chart here about who drinks. And the Commissioner Kelly has touched on this in the past. 5% of the drinkers consume 48% of the liquor. 20% drink 80%. I don't know if I'm in the 5 or the 20. But I'll tell you this, if we raise taxes on alcohol, consumption would go down. If we raise taxes on alcohol, 35% of the people would pay no more tax, would pay less tax. I think that the legislature, the governor, can look at this from the perspective of tax reform. They could raise the tax on alcohol, lower the tax on food, restrain the increases in tax on property, and they would look like heroes. I haven't done enough to stop this, to stop people being murdered. Well, we need to escalate this fight somehow. We need to go to the legislature. We need to tell them it's in their best interest to reduce taxes on people that don't drink, and to make those that do cost us the most pay the most. I guess that's what I wanted to say today, but vehicular homicide is truly just homicide by another name, and I'm sick of it.
This is still the opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone else that would like to comment?
We'll move on to regular business. The first item is a public hearing for and second reading and final consideration of ordinance MC 46-14, an ordinance providing for the removal of obstructions from Minnehaha County highway right-of-ways and prohibiting the placement of snow from private driveways onto Minnehaha County highway right-of-ways. DJ Boothie.
Morning, Commissioners. DJ Boothie, Highway Superintendent. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
A few weeks ago, you guys passed a motion, or not a resolution, just a motion for our snow and ice removal policy. And as part of the snow and ice removal policy, it has procedures for accounting for snow and other obstructions that are left in the right-of-way. In order to enforce that, we also had you consider an ordinance for doing so. And today is the second hearing, or the second part of the hearing for the passing the ordinance. If you have any questions on it, I can answer it. If you'd like me to read through it, I can read through it.
Are there any questions for DJ? Dick?
DJ, has this been a problem? Are we preempting a problem, or is there a problem right now today?
There's a certain number of residences throughout the county where this has been a problem, and the way that it was handled traditionally was we have a note, kind of like a form letter. It's a half sheet of paper that the drivers have to stop and they would put it on their mailbox, and if the landowner was visible, we would have the driver try to mention something. Makes our drivers uncomfortable because they're having to confront somebody that's breaking the law, and that's not necessarily their duty in their job. And so it makes our drivers uncomfortable. And also, I don't think that we're legally allowed to be putting anything in somebody's mailbox, a note. So it's been practiced in the past, but I don't think that it's what we're supposed to be doing.
Has this worked?
And in some cases, yes. Some cases, no.
Well, some is a pretty, I mean,
Most
most of the time, does it work?
I would say most of the time it doesn't work.
And we never do send a letter or anything to these people?
We do follow up on the residences where it has been a continual problem. The supervisor of the crew, he follows up both in person and with a letter in some cases. And that is a lot better, more effective, I should say, than just the driver leaving a note. And so that has been more effective, very time-consuming. And then we still do have several residences throughout the county where people, I don't want to, in front of the microphone, say some of the things that our crew has heard from different residents. They're just basically being stubborn, and they don't care what the law says. They're going to move that snow across the road anyway.
So the purpose of this is to put some teeth in that?
Exactly, yeah.
Would you still continue the same policy that you had, give them a chance, put another, give them a letter?
The ordinance reads that there's a 48-hour notice period, that what we've been trying to do more recently is notify the sheriff's office, and then they send a deputy out to the residents, and that has been more effective than the highway department personnel notifying the landowner. But the way that the ordinance reads, a sheriff deputy will provide a notice to a landowner. They'll be given 48 hours to remove the obstruction from the right-of-way, and then if they're not completed after 48 hours, then we'll go send people out to take care of the obstruction, whatever it happens to be, whether it's snow or a vehicle or whatever, and then we have the authority to send an invoice for our labor and materials that we need to remove the obstruction.
If I may, Do you have any raw numbers on this, actual numbers? I mean, how many times did the sheriff have to do this last year, or how many did you? How many times have the
It varies from storm event to storm event, but I would say up to 10 per storm event that we've had to respond with somebody.
How often have you sent the sheriff's office out?
I'm not sure exactly how many times the sheriff has gone out. Less than 10, because usually Roger is able to handle it himself. But with this, the way that the ordinance reads now, rather than Roger going out and trying to make that initial, well, we'll still initially contact that landowner, but rather than be the one that continually goes out, we'll just send the sheriff's office out.
Well, yeah, I don't have a problem with repeat offenders, but that's why I was looking for raw numbers, because we've got enough laws on the books. I just, if there's only 3 or 4 instances a year or 5 instances a year that we have this issue, there may be other ways other than, I'll probably support the amendment, or the policy, but you do say you'll continue the existing policy, so somebody that obviously didn't watch or doesn't read the minutes would have a chance to just move it or not put it in the right of way at all.
Yeah, I think as soon as we have an ordinance in place that supports a new policy, and we're able to communicate that to these troublesome landowners that have continuously done this, that it will stop right away. And as soon as we communicate that to them, we're not going to have the problems, the ongoing problems.
I would suggest that you put a press release out. I think the county is usually pretty lax in telling what they're doing, but at least most of these people read the paper. So,
right.
Thank you.
Any other questions of DJ? This is a public hearing, so is there anyone that would like to speak opposed or in favor of this? I don't see anyone. Is there any other discussion? Kirsten.
If I may just comment to just clarify something. South Dakota codified law, our state law, already makes the acts that are prohibited by this ordinance illegal as to either a Class 1 misdemeanor or a petty offense, depending on what the act is. What this ordinance does is put the public on specific notice as to a chance to remediate anything within 48 hours and gives the county an opportunity to remedy the condition out there, remove the property, and recover the costs of doing so, and storage of any property, like a vehicle that needs to be towed away, for example. So I just want to clarify that I don't think this is making anything additional illegal. This is providing the county with an ability to recover costs and giving the public the opportunity to remediate something that's already illegal under state law, under criminal statutes. So,
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion to approve the second reading and final of consideration of the ordinance at Minnehaha County 4614. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 18 is to consider a resolution to declare certain mobile home distress warrants for unpaid property taxes as uncollectible.
Good morning. Jason Gearman from the Sheriff's Office is also here to speak to this issue. We have approximately 45 properties for a value of around $41,235. According to the state statute, the sheriff requests the treasurer to ask the county commissioners to declare these properties uncollectible mobile homes uncollectible. Doesn't really change, like I've said in the past, it won't change the status because the only difference is really that the sheriff doesn't have to continue to go out and serve these people a warrant. We still have a right to collect our money, and we still try to do that. But quite frankly, these mobile homes are not worth a lot. As you can see, there were a variety of reasons on here for the way we disposed of them. Some of them were disposed of through the sheriff's auction, and Commissioner Barth did stop by my office yesterday and indicated he had some questions about these things, mobile homes and the uncollectible stuff. And it looks like if you would look at the papers, maybe we're writing off $41,000 some dollars. Actually, we don't really collect that kind of money anyway, but at some point, if you dispose of that property and we find out, we try to collect the money. The sheriff's sale, I asked Jason to find out how much we garnished from the ones that were auctioned by the sheriff, so he has that number. It will be forthcoming. My understanding of this is, in the beginning, when we had mobile homes, they were all treated as vehicles. And they all had decals, and every time you bought your mobile home, you'd get a decal. Well, as far as I can remember, back in maybe 88, 89, there was a legislative study committee that resulted because of proposed legislation that wanted to treat all of these mobile homes as stick property like regular property. And so and they made the argument that they're homes for these people just like anything else. They live in them on a regular basis. It is their home. They should be treated exactly like other property. And so they stopped short of doing that after the legislative study, but they did have a plan to phase the decals out and treat them more like stick property. So my understanding that was up until all the trailers, the ages up to after 1975 would all be treated and not any longer be issued decals. So we still are dealing with some of those trailers that are 1975 models or older that still have the decal side. Now, it's my understanding that those will be phased out next year and be treated as stick property. So the issue became for the legislature when they just didn't do it all at once was because some of these counties were fairly dependent upon the revenue, and if they lost it all in 1 year, that would be very difficult for them to budget for. So that was why they decided to go with the phase out instead of the one just all of a sudden changed the law. And it's kind of hung on ever since then. So if you have any other questions, I try to answer them, and Jason's right there with the other number that Jeff wanted to get.
Are there any questions for Pam?
I would just comment that looking at this, it shows that we're owed $50,000, and that's far from what we're collecting from these sheriff sales. And of course, the other point, which is the same point every year, is that apparently the realtor folks wanted to upgrade these to be like stick property, but people live in their cars too, and if we made people buy their license plates a year after they got the car, we wouldn't be collecting.
Jason, do you have some numbers for us?
Jason Gierman with the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office. Just to let you know, we seized 54 homes this year, the Sheriff's Office did. Of those 54, 39 of the homes we had to cancel the sale because they paid, which the taxes that were brought in, including fees, was right under $20,000 of people that may not have paid if we wouldn't have seized them. 15 of them we had to sell at auction, and 7 of those were purchased by the city. And what I did with the city is I made an arrangement with the city. These blighted mobile homes, basically they had to be uninhabitable, and the city would come out and basically buy them for our fees. So I have fees like the Argus Leader, levy fees, postage fees. So they would pay those fees, so it wasn't a cost to the county. And what they got out of it was they get a title and they could destroy the home. They no longer have to go out and deal with the homeowner or the landlord. They just get rid of it and destroy it. And of those 15 that I sold, we took in $3,000, and again, minus fees and things like that. But that's kind of the overview on what we're doing, and what we're doing is trying to get these down to a manageable level, which they haven't been in the last 4 or 5 years, and I think we're getting very close. So.
Any questions for Jason? Commissioner Peckus?
Jason, last time I checked, I think your office dealt with about 9,000 warrants a year that you guys have to serve in various capacities, whether it be a criminal warrant or a distress warrant or something like that. Is that correct?
Well, we have about 17,000 warrants.
17, okay.
That doesn't include civil papers
right.
and these type of warrants. So.
And these are the kind of ones that just seem to be the odd lot that are kind of a thorn in your side that you have to chase around. So would effectuating this policy help you out a little bit?
I'm looking for any option. I guess, the law kind of dictates what we can do, but
Right.
This takes up basically my whole summer, where I could be doing something else.
Right.
I spend a lot of time, taking 54 homes is a lot of time.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Barth?
I would just comment that when I was a telephone repairman, I fixed phones in mobile homes that should have been uninhabitable. I mean, where you could fall through the floor, where there was, the plumbing didn't work. In fact, Pam told me about a party that was having trouble paying their $42 taxes, and I went up to look at her mobile home, talked to her landlord. I didn't meet her, but a mom with 2 kids living in a trailer with no water, going next door to get water. Landlord was letting her live there rent-free. Pretty dismal, and yet people have to live somewhere.
Any other comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to declare certain mobile home distress warrants as unpaid property taxes as uncollectible. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Item 19 is to authorize the chairman to sign agreements between Minnehaha County and ISS Facility Services, Inc. for janitorial services in the Minnehaha County Courthouse, Extension Building, and Annex. Lloyd Olson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lloyd Olson from the Facilities Department. We've had an agreement with ISS Facility Services since April of 2012 to provide custodial services to the courthouse, annex, and the extension building. They've asked for a 3% increase to cover some of their expenses in doing this work. I'm very happy with the services they provide, and I would recommend acceptance of this increase. It would raise the contract rate from $128,820 to $132,696.
Any questions for Lloyd? Dick?
Lloyd, do you have any thoughts about increasing how much they do? They don't do this building right now, is that correct?
That's correct. We're somewhat comfortable with that, with the services they provide. We've looked at increased services, but due to some of the concerns we have about security in some of the areas in this building is one item in the State's Attorney's Office. But it is something that would be open for consideration, especially if we had staff that would leave.
Any other comments? Looking for a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second, and I'd also like to say that Lloyd did include that increase in his budget for this year, for 2014, so that is covered in this budget. I have a motion and a second to approve the contract with ISS. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same side. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Lloyd.
Item 20 is to authorize the chairman to sign agreement for final design services with Civil Design, Inc. in the amount of $45,000 for replacing structure number 50-289-060, 4 miles west of Sherman on County Highway 114. Shannon Schultz.
Good morning, Commissioner. Shannon Schultz, Minnehaha County Highway Department. So we're requesting that you execute by signature this contract with Civil Design, Inc. I'd like to point out that this is an innovative design, and the second page, or the third and fourth pages of the handout, there's some schematics of this inverted T-beam. And we're really looking forward to getting this kind of to be more routine rather than innovative, because we see a lot of benefit to construction costs as well as design costs, because it's very repeatable. There's a standard I-beam that all DOTs use across the country. This is the bottom half of that, so the forms are already placed by these precast yards, and then in place in the field we pour a cast-in-place deck, and that the inverted T-beam has some steel sticking up from the stem, and so that deck and beam act integrally. So it's a very efficient design, and this would be the first one in this county, even though there's others that's been field tested across this part of the country, most notably in North Dakota and Idaho. So that is the project.
Any questions for Shannon? Commissioner Bennigan.
Shannon, besides the upfront cost, is there any records of, frankly, if the bridge itself lasts longer because of this change in the structural design?
Well, the competition for this kind of beam is frankly an existing double T beam. That's across the country, lots of people use double Ts, and the problem with the double Ts is it makes a point load on the stem where the bottom of the T is skinny, resting on a beam seat, and that is a point of failure, okay? This would be, if you look at the inverted T, a larger footprint on the bottom, spreading out that little bit, so we think it'll be better than the double T, which is tentatively a 50 to 65-year design, so we're hoping to get 75 years out of these beams.
I just learned more than I needed.
Any other questions for Shannon?
Thank you.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the signed agreement for the final design services for Civil Design, Inc. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 21 is consider a motion to reappoint Patricia Krupa as the Minnehaha County Veteran Service Officer for a 4-year term. Ken McFarland.
Commissioners, Pat Krupa's term as the County Veteran Service Officer actually expired yesterday, and if you wish to reappoint her by statute, that must be for a 4-year term, and it would be effective on the first Monday of 2014 and go from there for a 4-year term. As you know, Pat more than meets the requirements to serve as the County Veteran Service Officer. Her test scores and that for her recertification are exemplary, and I know Commissioner Heiberger has some other information about Pat, but the request is to reappoint her for a 4-year term as the County Veteran Service Officer.
Any questions for Ken?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I would just like to comment that this last year, 2013, Pat was given the award of the South Dakota Veteran Service Officer of the Year. So lucky for Minnehaha County to have Pat for us. I have a motion and a second to reappoint her. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
The next item is Minnehaha County Commissioner Liaison Reports.
Are there any liaison reports? Commissioner Barth.
I would just say that this past year, there's been some difficulties in some of my liaison assignments, but I've enjoyed it very much, and I look forward to this coming year.
Yeah, and just, you're going to be making those liaison assignments out probably within the next couple of weeks, so.
I think the plan is to try to make those appointments today, so in the next week or two, everybody will be having new liaison, or some will be having new liaison positions.
You should have all received in your packets a copy of the past history and a checklist to indicate your desires for liaison appointments for this year. We would urge you to fill those out and return them to our office as soon as possible to assist the chairman in making those appointments.
I forgot to put my check in my envelope.
Take bribes. Any other liaison reports? With that, I guess we'll go on to old business. I would just like to thank Commissioner Benega for being the chairman for 2013 and making his shoes too big for me to fill. My feet are not that big. I will do my best, but I thank you for all the hard work, and I know it's a lot of work, and you put in a lot of hours, and thank you very much on behalf of the rest of the commission. Is there any new business? No new business. We will be adjourning for executive session. If I could have a motion for personnel.
I'll make a motion for personnel.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn for executive session for personnel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. We're adjourned.